Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Turtle Club podcast. Today, we got some pretty big news regarding the game. Probably the most controversial thing that's ever happened to the game. The introduction of a brand new game, actually, in like the Dragon Ball Super Card Game Universe, they're calling it. So, we'll be talking about that and the controversy and stuff around that, circumstances on what's going on with the digital version and all that. So, we'll be talking about all that today. I'm your host, Dylan, and today I'm here with Bobby,
Hello. What everybody
Carl,
doing?
Hello, hello, hello.
Brandon,
Yo yo.
Sam,
Good.
and Angel.
What's up, guys?
So the first thing on the to-do list is probably to talk about the actual reveal of the games and how they like a little explanation of what's going on with this new card game versus what we have now. So what we have now is called Masters, which is the standard formats of how we've always been playing it past 20-ish sets. And then we have this new format called Fusion something. I forgot what it's called. Fusions. But,
Fusion Warriors, I believe, or Fusion. Would help to know.
Fusion World.
Fusion World.
Fusion
that's what it is,
World.
Sorry. So yeah, so that's a brand new version of the game is going to be coming out. It's completely separated, but we're going to have Angel explain it a little bit more in depth. So go ahead, Angel.
Yeah, so essentially they revealed, this morning that there is a new game coming out, the Dragon Ball Fusion World, Dragon Ball Super. The digital client that they've been hinting at or talking about since Nationals last year ended up being a new game, which is a simplified, a toned-back version of the main game, which they're calling Masters now. The new game's going to feature, I guess, more of a back-to-basics approach, new color identities, new combo mechanics. Or no, actually the combo mechanics remain the same. It's just, there's no negates now. So you're going to look at games that end a whole lot quicker. That's pretty much the only difference that I've seen so far. Everything else seems to work the same way, just the counters are gone. That's counter plays and counter attacks. So no negates, no counters. It's an entirely different game. There's no overlap whatsoever. The cards for Masters are Masters cards, and the cards for Fusion World are Fusion World cards. Even though the games work functionally the same, they're unique games, so you can't play them. There's no overlap between the cards. That's pretty much it. There's not too much known right now. There's two, what are they, test decks, demo decks that they're showing off at Gen Con, where you can kind of play around with the game. A few other creators have shown off what's in there already and how the game works, so you can check it out from there.
All right, thank you, Angel. And yeah, so that's a little bit of explanation of what's going on with those. Very interesting, something I definitely did not expect to happen. So we'll just go into a little bit of our thoughts and our reactions since this just happened today. So we're still a little riled up from this reveal. So what does anyone have to say about what they first thought when they saw this reveal?
I'll start. So immediately I felt disappointment that it wasn't a digital version of the main game Masters. But after thinking about exactly where the game is at, or the competitive scene and the player base, I can see why they went this way. And also some of the other stuff that I've learned since the reveal, I can at least understand where they're coming from, but I'm hopeful, but still disappointed. That's my take.
I also had a pretty optimistic view of things. I have been harping for a while now that the barrier for entry of the game is way too high. You just have to really be dedicated to wanting to be a good Dragon Ball player if you're going to start at this point and attempt to compete. So the only way to sell more cards is to grow your player base. They had to do something to grow the player base. So I know for hardcore players like us, we have one view of things, but they were never going to grow the player base without some drastic change to the game. And I think this actually doesn't affect the main game and could be a net positive over the long run if people get into the new version of the game or pick up the digital client and then use it as kind of a gateway drug to the grown up version of Dragon Ball. Hopefully, that's the glass half full way I think to look at it. If you go doom and gloom and just think they're competing with themselves, how are they going to sustain this? That's also a valid way to look at it. But I would tend to be glass half full and just think, look at all these other games they've released that seem to be making the money and being profitable. So they seem to have the formula down on how to do this. And if we get a whole player base from Japan that is interested in the game, and then maybe they pick up the cards, like it could grow the game more so than anything else they've done in the past. To Unison Warrior block, they tried to grow the game, and nothing really happened. We've introduced the Zenkai format that hasn't grown the player base. So sans like some major reset or dumping a bunch of money into marketing or having the show come back, I feel like this is at least a nice effort at attempting to grow the game.
I guess I can pick up after you, Bobby. I would just like to first preface this by saying I love the Dragon Ball Super card game. I think I played other TCGs, and Dragon Ball is by far my favorite, and I don't want to sound like I'm being a complainer, but originally when I saw this news, I was pretty disappointed and not hopeful. After listening to your Angel and Bobby's kind of points on the game, I'm a little more hopeful now. Maybe it's just more positivity, but like glass half full, like you're saying, Bobby. But I think my main concern is the bait and switch that I feel like was pulled on us. We were all at Nats, and we all sat down before round one. And when we got that announcement, literally everybody was immediately running around cheering, screaming about how great the news was. That it was going to bring more players into the game. It's a great step in the right direction. Bandai listened to us. And then they completely, they flipped it on us almost, it feels like. And my main concern with that is if the majority of your player base and reason for your product sales are competitive players, right? Without in real life events, without competitive players buying cases to find God rares and build up the decks, I don't think the game is sustained off just collectors. No TCG is sustained off of that. All successful TCGs have huge tournaments. So if you're not going to please that player base first and make sure they're good, it doesn't seem like a positive thing for that portion of the game, which to me is one of the most important ones. Maybe it's just because I'm a competitive player, but I just feel like that's the majority of the player base, competitive players. And if they are not satisfied and they're not being, tended to, I guess, and having their thoughts and opinions listened to, then I just feel like it's a step in the wrong direction. We already have major problems with prize support in real life events, turnouts, and the lack of the online client. We thought one of the major problems was getting addressed with this, and now it turns out it's not, and it's going to be something else completely different. And we still have all these other issues. So I just feel like it's a step in the wrong direction, but I am a little more hopeful a couple hours later that maybe it will bring new players in, like you guys are saying. And, I really hope it does. I hope the game doesn't, the competitive game that we all love and we all love to try to get better at and we've gotten better at over the years. I hope it doesn't suffer from this is really where I'm at. We all love the game and we've all become good friends through it. And, that's ultimately where it comes from. There's just a place of love for the game, right? Just wanted to stick around. So I am hopeful. That's my piece. I want to be positive about it. So
yeah, I'll kind of jump in. I will say, kind of piggybacking on the whole, like we became friends. We have like a Turtle Club. We have like a tattoo of our, Like we're very close knit. I will just play devil's advocate though and say like developing a card game and putting it into a digital client is extremely difficult. So I'm sure, and they said they've been working on it for like 2+ years. So like imagine having to scrap something, realizing it's just not going to work, and that there's like the effort to put in, it's heart wrenching. And then you have to realize the only way we could scrap this and not lose a bunch of money on something we developed is to just have to make a new card game. So like, yeah, it sucks, but imagine bringing in a whole other, because Japan is a large part of a lot of TCGs. Like they have the OCG, like right? It's called the OCG for Yu-Gi-Oh. You know what I mean? So like they have their own little set over there, and their own little they're like ban lists and stuff like that. So I feel like if they did that for this card game and it took off, maybe they could put that into Masters. Maybe they could add more prize pool, money and stuff like that into the whole thing. So I'm hopeful that it might turn out to be better. And I'm gonna keep being hopeful until they pull the rug underneath of us again. So that's kind of my thing.
Yeah, so I'd say my first reaction was definitely major disappointment. As soon as I saw the reveal, I was like, "Oh yes, this must be what the digital version just called. It's just called Fusion World." So I was like, "Yes, there we go. We finally got a name for it and everything." And then I saw the news that it was completely different, and that the Masters version of the game is not going to be compatible with the digital version. That really disappointed me because it felt like, like what you said, they pulled the rug from under us, and a little bit of lying, but I mean, it's not really lying because they did tell us afterwards why they made this decision. So I mean, I understand it's probably tough. I know games like Master Duel exist where they managed to get all the right rulings and chain links and stuff like that working. I know a game like with counter windows and stuff is pretty complicated, so I get why they decided to simplify it this way. It still hurts because I really wanted to play a traditional way of Dragon Ball digitally, however I wanted, but I guess that's just not what we're getting right now. Maybe in the future we could still get that if this game does well, but this game seems interesting. I am looking forward to trying it out. I don't know if I'll be buying the physical product, but I'll be at least trying out the digital game, see how it's monetized and everything, see if I want to keep playing. So, yeah, that's pretty much how I feel. How do you feel, Sam?
Yeah, I mean, you guys pretty much covered it. I mean, as a whole, I can't really get on board with it. It's just hard. It's just hard because like you said, we've all been doing this for so long, and then you guys are saying that the rug got pulled out from under us or whatever. So it's just hard because it's just so upset. It's just really upsetting, is all. I mean. Like I don't really know much more to say because.
What about you, Bryce? Or was Bryce here?
He's not actually here, so.
Oh, okay.
Well,
could I make just a quick point?
Yeah,
That I think Sam was trying to say. I just think that it's a shame that it's hard for us as hardcore. I would consider us hardcore Dragon Ball Super fans. We pay money in the hundreds to travel to events, right? Like we spend a lot of money on cards.
Yeah.
As hardcore fans, dude, as hardcore fans, we can't even. It's hard for us to get excited about a new game. That's it's pretty much the same thing. And the reason is because the initial game, the reason why we all play, I mean, the core of it is suffering. So it just to me, I can't understand how they wouldn't address the real game before they make a new one. How can you get excited about something when the thing itself is suffering? I don't know. I just feel like it's a shame that they did it this way. Maybe if they announced more changes to the real TCG, some real improvements along with a new game, imagine how much different everybody would be talking right now.
Yeah.
It would be, they're
what
addressing the
improvements
TCG.
do you want, though?
I think number one would be IRL events. Whatever it takes to get people to want to go to IRL events.
But they stated that they have a problem with competitive player base. So what is the point of wasting more money in IRL events when they don't have a competitive player base?
There is also, and here in a little bit when we talk about the Fashbinder Q&A, he did mention that they're going to start putting more money into the real life events too. So, this could just be more money coming our way in general, which would be a net positive. So I'm hoping that's what the case is,
I'm also not a tournament organizer.
Yeah.
I'm not a tournament organizer or a game designer, but I would just say that if you compare it to other games, player base is lacking. And one of the major outstanding factors to me is, example, TCGCon. We had, 50-something people enter. By the end of the tournament, there was only 30 or 40 people. When you look at the other games, they were in the hundreds, or 1,000 people. I don't know how many, but it was a lot more. So
I mean, take a
how do
look
you
at
solve
Atlanta.
that? That's not me. I shouldn't have to come up with a solution, but I can identify a problem. That's certainly an issue, and however TOs or the game creators want to address that, it should be addressed. And hopefully they are. Like Angel said, I didn't know. I didn't know they were putting more money into the event, so that's nice. But would have went over a lot better with the game's true player base and supporters I feel like if they also made some big announcement about the TCG, the initial game we play, Masters, I guess it's called.
Yeah, a little bit more communication would have been good, probably ahead of time, or maybe in the same announcement, instead of just the sort of rug pull we got. But it's
They really hyped up that announcement too. Like every day they were posting a new
like
picture.
crazy.
Like 14 hours, stay tuned. And
Yeah.
It's like, come on, man.
I'm still overall I'm feeling not bad because after the news,
Great,
after
feeling great.
the Q&A, I feel pretty comfortable at where our game is at. Also, that we're really not in any risk of going anywhere. It's just we're not gonna. I feel like we're not gonna get as much growth as we could have potentially if this was a digital client for our version. So it feels like it feels like this was the safe play. I forget who said it before. I think it was Sam, that this is the safest possible play. It's like you don't introduce rotation to the game and infuriate everybody or like delete 2 entire blocks from the game and then go from there to sort of repair the state that we're at in the meta. You don't just completely drop the old game and do a new one. We're kind of like doing a 50-50 thing where all of their investments into the game make sense while not taking anything away from us. It would be nice if we got a little bit more, but I see where this move came from, and I'm hopeful.
It's a good building block.
Yeah,
So
we can move forward from here, especially if they're going to put a lot more money in.
So the big question, obviously, since they're making all this, they definitely made this entire new game just to bring in new players. Do we actually think that this will work? Do we think this will work to bring in new players from around the world, Japan, everywhere else, but just new players in general into the game to make the player base bigger?
They canceled support for the TCG in Japan, correct?
No, it was a different game that was sort of similar. It was the Card-Ass game.
Oh, so
Yeah.
Dragon Ball. Okay.
They never had
never-
Dragon Ball over
Yeah,
there.
they never
It
had
was done
DBS.
later.
Oh wait, okay, so they never had the card game there.
No,
They're still not
no,
getting
never,
it. They're getting this
So-
new one.
So, okay, so
Yeah.
this new one is supposed. So, but how is that supposed to help Master in that sense? It's not. I mean, in Japan, anyways, that's not going to develop any attention to Master.
If they get enough maybe support in this base version, there's a chance. I mean, the Japanese audience could ask for Masters to be imported, although that seems like
Well,
a
it's just-
stretch.
I think
at
it's-
least a digital version of it, maybe.
It just seems
Yeah.
really hard for them because of the Dragon Ball IP card game they already have, which is Dragon Ball Heroes, and that's
That's
just
not
been
a card game though. That's just an arcade
But
gotcha game.
that's the reason why it's not successful over there, right?
Well, no, they never put
They
it
never
out.
launched.
Yeah, this game
It's
never.
like no cards
Masters
over there,
never
yeah.
came out over there. They never had it.
I wonder.
So this is good. I mean, this is going to get more money in Bandai's pockets from having an actual Japanese audience for the game. That's for sure, because they spend like crazy on this kind of stuff.
I wonder
Look,
if it's
it
going
likes-
to be like a Japanese text, because I mean they have, like I said, they have the OCG over there, but that's all. They have their own like Japanese cards and stuff like that. Like I wonder, are they going to make a Japanese version? Are we going to be able to play? Be able to
Yeah,
play
we-
against Japanese
yeah.
people? You know what I mean?
Well, I
like,
mean,
we
the
do.
digital,
They
it's a
said
digital
it's function
client.
global.
Then, yeah,
Yeah.
that's all.
but
labeled.
yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah, you can just do that. But I also, maybe they're going to make money on having to buy packs to pull certain cards and stuff like that. Like,
Absolutely.
Of course.
you know what I mean? It's
Well.
going to be like, yeah, something like basically just like Master Duel, just paying to buy
Master
packs
Duel.
and
You
certain stuff.
think they're going to make us buy packs? Are you insane?
You gotta
the
make
Japs
money
would do
somewhere.
that, though?
And the fucking statement is.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying. Do you know what I'm saying?
I know,
That
I'm
money can
just
just go
pretty
into
much-
like,
Just yanking your chain.
maybe make better. Maybe they can take the money that they were going to put into Battle Spirit Saga and put it into this shit and give
I
us the
mean-
$1 million prize pool. You know what I mean?
I have a hard time seeing the obvious positives that this is going to bring on. I mean, we're all talking about being hopeful. That's nice. Hope is great, being positive, but I mean, I just have a hard time seeing the, incoming positives from this, other than the potential that it brings in new players.
That's what
Don't,
this is. I mean, you
That's
said
the
income.
positive.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
The positive
That's
is
it.
nothing's getting taken from us other than the digital client, and then that's the only
What?
positive. And the positive, the possibility of, us still getting that in the future, assuming they can.
that
you know-
they build off of this.
Yeah, if they build off of this, we could get a master's version potentially.
I do like the idea of going back to set 1, basically. And I've said this off camera, but it's just like there's so much going on, and just maybe too much that like going back to the basics and then building off of that is probably just the best bet for them.
It was a simpler time.
Yeah, it was. And like he said in the Q&A, like Fashbinder said, that's the number one complaint they got in every survey that they sent out from collectors, from like first time buyers, or from everyone, that the barrier to entry was just too high. They can't.
I mean, I agree with that.
Too much stuff.
It's.
I don't understand how that is the case. Honestly, I'm genuinely.
I think it's more.
I feel
I
like
think it's
Dragon
more
Ball is
of
one of the more affordable card games.
That's not.
It's not the price. It's the
price.
complexity.
Yeah,
I think
it's, yeah.
I don't know. I think it's more so the experience over the rules is what it is. I think that's what we were talking about earlier too. Is that people that have been playing this game for so long, like us, we know it's like the small stuff, like when to take a life, when to not take a life, when to hit them with a double strike or pop certain cards and stuff like that.
Not
And
just
it can
that,
be.
but how the effect works too. Like every
Yeah.
effect, you have to know how the game works exactly, and like what those words actually mean. Because what it says on the cards half the time isn't exactly how it works.
Yeah.
That's
It's
every
like
card
you're-
game
like
though, as
Q&A.
well. By the way.
Yeah, but it's it's particularly tough in this one. It's just I mean, remember when we got new players in our locals? How long it took to. I mean, every card was another question. Everything
Yeah.
was a new.
Oh, it does
how does
this?
this
It does
work?
this
Yeah.
now? What? Yeah.
But I do understand what you're saying, Carl. It's like, I mean, every card game. It's not like that. There's people that jump into Magic. There's people that jump into Yu-Gi-Oh now. It's not. There's still decades of stuff that you got to learn to be at the top. But
I feel like Dragon Ball, the rule set itself isn't particularly complicated. You could get through a game successfully without being, having an extremely high level of understanding about the rules itself. It's the actual gameplay. If you want to beat people who have been playing for a long time, you have to put the time in just like they did. I feel like that is a positive thing in a card game, but I don't know. Maybe I'm in the minority on that. I mean,
So you were just saying. Sorry, you were just saying that like you can pick up any Dino deck or Mystic Mine in Yu-Gi-Oh and beat a veteran player, but like here wasn't there. I mean, like we had players quit our locals because they just kept getting washed. They would get washed all the time. You know what I mean? It's not fun for someone to come in and just be like, I lose. Thankfully we have
that's
like
true. I didn't
It
really
also,
think
it
of it
also
like
depends
that.
on it also depends on the format. I mean, if a new player comes in, gets washed by Geneva Mill, and sees fucking 5 Geneva Mill players at the table, then why the fuck would I want to do that again?
True.
Yeah.
Why
That was
not
also
go
part.
live
That was
on
also
that?
part of the. That's also part of the fun for Dragon Ball. You could play like 10 different decks, and they can all be equally as good. So that was also part of it. But I mean, I also think too that knowing like what your opponent's decks are going to be and knowing when they're going to play certain cards just has overall just a big advantage over your opponent, especially somebody new. Like
What you're
like
describing is somebody who's been playing for years has a big advantage. Well, yeah,
No,
I mean
I
that's
know.
with anything.
I know that, but I feel like if we're comparing something like Yu-Gi-Oh to Dragon Ball, it's like okay, Yu-Gi-Oh you can just make your board and do your thing, but with Dragon Ball I think it's more you have to have more knowledge on the game itself, and like where like how it's going to take you in 7 turns or 8 turns if the game goes that far.
Yeah. No new guy's gonna sack a veteran player ever.
No,
It's almost impossible.
and that's ultimately a bad
Honestly.
thing, right?
Yeah.
Is that's what the
Yeah.
general consensus is? Because that's not a possibility. That's not good, right?
Well,
Is that
from
what
a
you're saying?
competitive player standpoint, for me being the person that's destroying all of these people coming into locals, it's fine because I advance in the tournament. But for Bandai's point of view,
Yeah.
where they want to sell more cards to more people, if you don't give these new players a hit of serotonin every once in a while with a way to get a W,
Yeah.
they're just not going to come back. Like, it's a rare breed that's willing to show up for 6 months and
Yeah.
just get
You're
crushed in
only
order to
getting
make progress.
true believers. That's the only things that, like a psycho is the only thing that's going to come in and grind it out until they're the best. You know what I mean? It's unless your
Yeah, there's
hope is real friendly.
So that's why I at least look at this as a net positive. I know if you were looking forward to a digital client of the current game that we're playing, then this is definitely disappointing. I don't think there's any two ways about that because you're not getting it. But this is better than
Thank
doing
you, Bobby.
nothing.
Thank you.
I'm just saying, this is better than doing nothing to grow the player base. At least they're trying. I like the game. I hope it survives. So at least this is an attempt to grow it. That's the way I would prefer to look
Not
at it.
saying
I never actually thought though that we were getting a simulator that was going to match this just based on the beta and what cards were there. But maybe that's just me. I was being pessimistic on that. But the other thing I want to push back on, like I see a lot of the narrative in the groups is like, oh, Bandai will never support 2 games. Like they will support any game that makes money.
Yeah.
Any game that produces revenue and profit for them, they will continue to produce. So there's no reason to think that just because it's also Dragon Ball, that this game is destined to die. Now, I'm not saying it's going to live forever, but the potential to support multiple games has been proven that Bandai can handle that and do it successfully. So I don't think that's like a reason to be selling off your cards today.
I think you're right, Bobby, but the thing is, there's glaring problems with the original game, so why make something so similar when the original is having issues retaining or gaining new players already? Yeah, I mean, I feel like I don't know, maybe I'm just thinking of it too black and white. Maybe this is the way to get the new players, and I just have to get that through my mind, I guess.
This is the most economically viable way to do it from their perspective.
I can't think of a potential. Yeah, I can't think of a potential change to the game that our current player base will not cry about in the community discussion page.
Yeah,
it is no matter what they do, it is met with oh my god, this is the worst thing.
And we have one.
But it's constant. It's just a shame. That's how it is.
At the end of the day, they don't care. They could drop fucking this game tomorrow and not even bat an eye. So I mean,
well, the Finder explained in the Q&A that this game makes money for them.
Mm-hmm.
They want to keep it going.
Yeah,
there's no reason to think that it's not profitable. He said that they haven't grown the game since September, but he also didn't describe a lot of attrition. It's basically the people who are playing the game now and buying the game are continuing to support the game. The player base is not shrinking; it's also not growing. But
I don't know if I would say I would have to say the player base is definitely shrinking. I mean, when you went to events, say celebrations, there was hundreds of people there.
Player base versus people. I guess I should be more specific. Consumers spending dollars on the game is staying constant. I don't know if maybe players are dropping out and collectors are filling that void. It seems like that would be the case with
he said this past year was our biggest regionals and nationals. I mean, it was the biggest nationals period, the one that we went to this past year, and he said that regionals were selling out. Now we know us as hardcore players, though, that's because of the Champ Pack support that those were selling out constantly.
And it's fake numbers because how many of us are actually playing in them? It's what's sad. I mean, and it's a lot of people that aren't doing that. So that is true if you want to look at the numbers. Yeah, and the nationals was big. That was amazing. That is true. But you're right about the regionals and stuff. It's because people are getting the cards to resell them and they're not even playing, which is that is pretty sad to see. I've never even heard of something like that in a card game.
I will say though, I think the Lookout did a video and showed that the online regional presence has dipped by almost half. So like if we can get more regional support, like more IRL support, I'm sure that would just show it way better than online. I just think people are tired of online right now.
It's awful.
Like online regional, it's terrible.
Really awful.
I would draw a different conclusion from that data. I mean, sure, I don't enjoy sitting for 7 rounds in front of the webcam and doing it, but when the webcam started, when we were all home for lockdowns and COVID, and even if you were working, you still didn't. A lot of people didn't have social functions to attend on the weekends or things to do, really, because everyone was hidden away.
Right.
And now that the world has opened up, man, people don't want to punt their Saturdays to play in a webcam. That
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, that's it. That's
So-
probably the major reason.
I mean, I don't know about anybody else, but I mean, half the fun for card games to me was going and taking that weekend, going out with the boys, freaking trying to do your best at the thing, going out, having to going out and chilling for the weekend, away from everything
You're
else, and just getting out of town.
100% correct, Sam. That is
That was like a lot of the, that's like one of the main reasons I play card games in general. Like, it was because
it's a real hobby that you travel for, that you invest in.
It's
that
the
you spend
camaraderie.
time- Yeah, it's not.
Yeah.
I don't want to sit in front of a screen. Why don't I just play fucking Call of Duty all day if that's the.
It's not
That's
just
the case.
card games at that point. It's going out, you're meeting people,
Yeah.
you're talking to people, you're having
Yeah.
dinner, like Sam said, you're staying in a hotel. You enjoy your time. It's more than just playing 8 rounds.
Turning it into like a social game.
Yeah.
And
That's
just-
another way to bring in casual players. If there's something more than just playing, you get to experience the trip up with your buddies. It's a fun thing to do. We enjoy it, and new players cannot experience that right now, or very slim. It's unlikely you'll experience that.
the other thing you mentioned,
Another disappointment
That's-
with the digital version not being for Masters is obviously that means webcams are probably going to continue the way they are now, since we were kind of hoping the digital version would replace webcams, but since obviously now that it's only for Fusion World now, obviously webcams are going to continue, and then people don't want to do webcams, so it's just going to keep going like that, which is unfortunate.
the one thing I was going to add to what Carl was saying about the regionals selling out being fake numbers because people wanted the promos. That's true that they wanted the promos to flip, but a lot of people joined those to eventually, like you guys, join the webcams so that you would have the promos to play in your deck when you went to the in real life event.
Very true.
People want to play in the events. I think you see it in all of the posts online. People want in real life events to go to, and they want the prizing to be worth their while. So if they spend a bunch of money, they're going to leave with something. But having that prizing is really just the carrot everybody needs. If you have that good champ pack prizing like we did the first round this year, I think people turn out.
I think
And
most
I
Yeah,
think
it's
that's the core. That's the core of my point, though, Bobby. Is basically what you just said. Like, I'm agreeing with you. I think people want to play in events. Address the in real life event problem that we have. Before making a new game. I just think
Yeah.
it's backwards, and it doesn't.
It's
I don't feel like it's going to be addressed ever at this point now.
I mean, there was a passing mention in the Q&A that Fashbinder said that they do seem that it is in the works, or like that it is possible that leading forward we're going to start getting big events and like stuff like celebrations again. So more money is going to go into IRL events because of this, or they're possibly going to co-host both events in like the same venue and stuff like that. And there's going to be like Dragon Ball, swag everywhere, like the big posters and the big standing,
That would be awesome.
all that stuff. Yeah, it's going to be supposedly that's all in the works, so that's cool. I mean, that
they
bodes
could-
well for us.
Yeah, I mean, they could easily just make it where they do like fucking all 3 events in one weekend,
Well,
and they could all make.
he talked about this specifically. You're probably wondering why you haven't seen a Digimon, One Piece, Dragon Ball event where we have all the Bandai games together. And apparently it's because the licensors do not want you to confuse the different IPs with each other. They want to keep them separated on purpose.
God, dude.
So they have to find
Yeah.
like a separate venue for every single one.
Yeah.
Probably makes
It's
So
sense.
the idea that
That's so
Two Dragon
stupid.
Ball-
That's what makes it so hard.
2 Dragon Ball games is good because they can justify spending more money to host an event around it.
Yeah, this is the
Well, and I think that
Dragon
was a
Ball
good-
Battle Hour.
I don't know if that was your opinion, Angel, if you saw something like that, but that is a great way to get new players into both games. If you have both events running simultaneously, everybody's there for a very similar game, and if you have demo decks running around and you have giveaways and you have, all that, making it a fun, where you can do both kind of, you know what I mean? That's a
That
great
Dragon
way
Ball
to get
Corner.
new players for both games. But, I guess that is a really strong, that's something that I'm hopeful about. That sounds awesome. I'd love to do that.
I mean, he didn't say that's definite, but that it is that Bandai intends to, put out more of those events. So more events is good for me.
All right, so
One of the problems are-
we keep mentioning Fashbinder, so I might as well go over it now. So Fashbinder is, by the way, is like the only level 0 judge, right? He's level 0, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Correct.
he's the only level 0 judge in the game, so he has like communication with Bandai and everything. He knows what's going on behind the scenes.
He worked on the game, I believe, also.
Yeah. So he knows what's going on with the game and everything. The developers talk to him and stuff. So he had like a little Q&A after they revealed the event because the community blew up. So obviously he wanted to answer some questions, sort some things out. So we got a lot of extra information that we didn't know from the announcement. He cleared some stuff up. So we'll go over a little bit of it. We went over a little bit of it before, but I'll go over it now. So just real quick, Nats got announced to be revealed next month, where it's going to be, the dates, the location. So at the time of the video, September is going to be revealed where Nats is, so look out for that. He also talked about some parts of the game that we didn't know about, or clarified some things, like there's going to be like no overlap at all between the games. Anything in Masters does not work in Fusion World, and anything in Fusion World does not work in Masters, so you gotta buy completely different cards if you want to play Fusion World, so if you're already playing Masters. He also, very interesting, just say, like, he gave us a little behind the scenes things of how the game's been doing, like, financially, or the player base. We talked about it a little bit, how the game has not been growing since Unison Warrior, apparently. So that's, I mean, as Carl was saying, it might be diminishing, but I mean, he was very adamant about it being just steady, like just the same people playing, not really growing, not really shrinking. I mean, do we all really believe that?
When did what set was COVID when it
That
first
was
started?
COVID.
That was COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's an unfortunate thing. And then when you have Digimon come out right after when COVID's finally like kind of done with, not really done with, but starting to get back in the swing of things again. And then you got Digimon coming out, and we had people that were doing Dragon Ball that went over to Digimon, and now you got One Piece now. So it's like we have a couple people we have a couple people from DBS heading over to One Piece, and people from Digimon going over to One Piece. So it's like it's hard, and the thought of a new game out is appealing to people. So it's hard to get back up to that clientele that we used to have, especially with that unfortunate with COVID and whatnot. So
Yeah, lost the
Just
line.
hard.
Did the
Yeah.
anime end like right around COVID times? I forget. I feel like it did,
2018,
didn't it?
2018, I think
It's like
it was.
year
Are you
before,
sure?
2 years before.
2018? That was I
Yeah.
don't think 2018, right? 5 years? No way.
It's been a very long time.
Yeah, it's definitely.
Couldn't have been
definitely
2018.
I think it might have been 2017, and then the Broly movie was in 2018. That was like
I
the
think-
comeback of
I
it.
remember-
Yeah.
I think I was
Set 5 was
still.
probably movie, so.
I was a freshman when.
Final episode was March 25th, 2018.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah.
I was still a
Wow,
Yeah.
I'm just getting old, bro. That's all it is.
Yeah, time's going by, dude.
when was
Yeah.
when was COVID again? Freaking
Bro, 2020.
2020.
2020.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Time flying.
I know we're in Florida, but I mean, you should remember.
I forgot, dude. Sorry, I'm freaking.
All right, that's
Yeah,
good.
I'm
so-
retarded.
Sam's getting old too.
I'm bad with dates. I'm like so bad with dates and stuff. Well,
Okay.
I was always a big advocate of since the anime wasn't in swing, so DBS wasn't doing as good either. Like, I mean, it's not really the only thing that counts towards it, but I
put
thought
some
it
eyes
would have
on it.
helped. I thought it would have helped a lot because I thought it would have helped a lot. I mean, I don't know if anybody knows, but I mean, they came out with the revamp of the Digimon anime when Digimon was freaking at its height too. And now we got this weekend coming up, which is Luffy's Gear 5th, which is a really big thing. It's like comparable to the Goku's Ultra Instinct when he first came out, and that's just gonna blast One Piece to the sky with his people trying to play it. Maybe new people trying to do it. And I've been seeing advertisements of the actual One Piece game with like random people trying to play with no sleeves on and shit.
Oh,
So
nice.
I'm seeing it I've been seeing it like more and more and more now. So it's like hopefully it doesn't take away more from our clientele now.
Yeah, hopefully
especially
not.
with this new news coming out with the new game and whatnot. Maybe a lot of us are gonna stay, but maybe some people don't think like us. So
Yeah, hopefully the anime will help bring. if the anime ever does come back, hopefully that'll bring back more players too, just interested in whatever the new arcs are being implemented into the game. Kind of like superheroes being implemented into the game right now, so stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean,
He
it just gets them into it and into the swing of things.
Yeah, for sure. So Fashbinder also clarified that the event attendance, which obviously seems pretty low, the event attendance does not correlate with the game's sales. Apparently, the game does sell very well still. So, which I can believe.
I believe that.
I mean, at our locals, it sells out instantly every time it releases, and I've heard other places that it sells out instantly. So, I mean,
We also got random people that come into the shop and just get stuff. We're like, hey, Tom, come in. Do you got extra stuff? We're like, oh no, we got these random people that just come in and get it.
Oh yeah, some new guys came in and bought cases.
Yeah,
He's like, I'm trying.
what? I mean, are they going to come back?
player.
Yeah, I'm like, are they going to come back and play? They're like, nope.
No. Yeah.
It's like,
collectors
nope,
love those
not at all.
guys, so.
Yeah, it's still a very collectible game, just for for collections and whatnot. People still do it.
So
What
very
if they
interesting.
made like specific packages, kind of like the demo decks for new players who go to actual stores to play tournaments? Like
We've had
really
those.
like good stuff, like mats, deck box, like that kind of stuff. You know?
Oh,
That'd be kind of nice.
Yeah, that
You
would
know,
be
just send it, and you know that would be just a cool thing to give to kids or.
The older players definitely wouldn't just take those.
No, I don't think. I mean,
You
none
would
of
have
it's for
to-
the
you would
sake
have
of the
to,
game's
like-
growth.
I wouldn't.
You would
No
have
way.
to you would have to do like your judge and store owner to get on top of that.
They organize an
Thing.
event, yeah.
Organize
I
it.
just
Yeah.
feel like anything to get new people to come. The people who are buying the set, somehow if you can say, hey, come to locals, you get all this cool stuff. I mean, that would be. We've had
Yeah,
people
local
come in
support.
one time, and then they just don't come back.
That'd be good. I mean, the Lookout did that video about the Brazilian scene where it's just entirely player ran, which is interesting. I mean, it's weird that we have to lobby for a company or fix it ourselves, but that might be something to try and do to grow the game also.
Yeah, maybe.
It's
I know-
true, yeah. We all have an excess amount of cards. I mean, it wouldn't be a terrible
That's
idea.
what we were doing
you know?
at one point.
We were just
I
giving
think-
people decks and cards. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, anything
But-
that helps.
Yeah, I mean, we just give free stuff to our store, to our comic store owner, just so they can give the random people if they want to come and search. He has like a big thing, like right on the glass stuff where he sells the cards,
True.
and people just come in and look at it and take it.
Let's get back into these news.
So an interesting thing that he mentioned, and we also saw it through some of the demo decks, is that the color identity for the colors for the game actually might work a bit different from how they work in Masters. From what I've seen, the red demo deck at least still works with the power neg, but I'm not sure what else he means by that. He didn't really specify how different they'd be. I mean, I'm sure they're still developing stuff, so maybe like blue doesn't untap energy anymore, does something else. Maybe hand instruction's not a thing for green anymore, but he said that the colors will be working differently from how they do now. So,
And that
what
they're
do you guys-
very clearly defined, is what he said also.
So what do you guys think how they could work like that?
I mean, the gates
Well,
are
they're
gone,
not
so
negative.
blue and yellow are going to be very different, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even know. I mean, is blockers still a thing?
I
Yep.
couldn't
What is-
tell if was it printed on the cards or is every card
Blocker is
able to
on some of the
change
cards. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Maybe they could make blue hand trap like effects. Maybe something like that where you don't have to necessarily, a way to mitigate the free energy, so to speak. You could discard cards to do things maybe. I don't know. It's a way that you wouldn't have to pay energy. It's kind of still blue where you don't spend a lot of energy, but you can, I guess that's into the free play. So that's probably not a good idea.
Yeah, might be
Maybe-
maybe it'll be
Wow.
card draw or something.
Maybe blue does
Energy untap is
untapping,
stupid.
untapping battle cards.
Oh yeah, yeah,
For
that's
blockers,
good.
untapping blockers maybe.
Keeping them from getting swung on.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
could still be like a defensive color too. So
Yellow, yellow can keep. I think the resting stuff fine, just instead of negates and stuff like that, like activate battle, like how common.
How it used to be. I mean, it's old
Yeah.
thing with like mid-range tap things and like barrier cards, so might go
I
that
don't
route.
know. I don't know how they. If what they said was that this doesn't draw as many cards as current Dragon Ball. I don't know how hand control is going to work. I mean, obviously that is always a question.
We'll
I don't
see.
know.
Until,
I
once
don't
we
know how.
see,
I don't know. I never played in set one, so I don't know what hand control was like back then. But
So Broly was the only one.
Yeah.
There was a Mecha Frieza build with that green 4-cost extra card. You played it for 2 greens, and that was pretty good for a while. Green Gotenks 3-drop, that was relevant for a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
I forget what it's
that
called.
was
Energy
definitely-
Absorption, is that what it's
I don't know
called?
what you're talking about. The one that's they pitch when you swing.
No, it's just a green extra card, pay 4. It's called Energy Absorption, I think. It's just
Oh,
your
you're
opponent
talking
pitches 2
about-
cards.
The cell one.
Yes,
Yeah, yeah,
Android one, yeah.
yeah.
That was a good hand destruction deck for a while. It also ran 6-drop green Broly as well.
I remember that shit.
Yeah, people are talking about how like they don't want hand destruction in this one, so maybe they're just not going to do that at all.
They might just take out all the unpopular stuff. Yeah.
Yeah,
Hand destruction has to be the worst. I mean, yeah, hopefully they take that crap out.
especially in a game where
Negates are
control
gone
is-
as well, so.
So that's probably for the better.
Is it like just counter stuff, or is it just negates?
Counters in general, no counterplay, no counterattack.
Ain't no counter, no nothing.
Yeah.
So can I ask this? So they seem like they're taking away the negates to make the games end faster, but in return, they've buffed your leader and buffed super combos by 10k. Does that effectively just neutralize the fact that you took away negates?
It doesn't neutralize it because I mean the battle cards are still going to
You
be threatening levels. I mean one cost 10 or one cost 15ks. They're not one cost 10ks. You
You
know,
can
so the
still
battle
have
power is
actually-
being adjusted.
I don't think they buffed super combo.
No, because you don't draw. It's just extra 10k combo power
You can
on
still have
defense only.
activate. You can still have activate battle cards where it says you just don't take a life or whatever. You know what I mean? It's just there's no like hard interruption, like no counter attack window.
Yeah, cards are going to be played and do their thing. So,
So you can have
that's-
active. So you can.
So
still
are you
activate battle
tapping for
cards.
10Ks now, or no?
no, it doesn't look like it.
Yeah, because I'm looking at that one. It doesn't have.
Yeah, it looks like you don't tap 4 them. Certain cards just have 5, some have 10, which I guess is
Yeah,
It's
just-
good,
I don't
but
know.
it's-
I think that's
cost
a mistake. I think that was a mistake, honestly. Should
might
To be
be
honest, it sounds kind of interesting, like to play the game without negates and be, comboing when to combo, when to not. I mean, I guess that was always the most complicated part. And it just gets worse when you combine counterplays and negates and when to use them.
yeah.
But it sounds kind of cool. I mean, it just sucks that it.
I would like to play it.
Yeah.
Try
Seems
it
like
out. I played
every
the
swing
Yeah.
will
Man.
matter. You have to combo out of every single one, so there's no negates. So
There are
It
people
still,
that are
goes,
selling
still
normal
goes back to knowing when to take your life and knowing when not to.
Yeah, although it looks
just
like
a
and
whole
also
new game
Awaken
without
is
negates, though.
mandatory.
Yeah.
Awaken just happens only on opponent's turn or something like that. He said. I don't remember what it was.
I mean, that's kind of cool, though. At least slows down your opponent. Your opponent can't overextend and shit like that. So,
We'll have
not
to
the
see.
worst.
all right,
Right,
we'll
we'll
go
see
over
what's
to
in
the
the
next one where we talked about it a little bit, where Bandai tends to apparently invest into more IRL events, kind of like celebrations. He didn't promise that it would be celebrations. He said events like celebrations are probably back on the table.
Yeah.
Since we're getting this new game, they probably want to really
Thank
promote this
God.
game. So having it alongside our Masters version probably will help grow both games. But I guess we'll see. It really depends on the pricing and everything they give with this to see if they can really not drop the ball this time. But hopefully that will help the game if they give us more events.
Yeah, I hope so. Jeez. Like we were saying before, I mean, me personally, I miss IRL events.
They're the best for sure.
Yeah, for real.
And
I still remember. I think it was like maybe like the first or second celebrations when we got that the Broly mat celebrations of the yellow Broly leader.
yeah, and then you when you entered with your
That was
teams, you got the
I think that
three
was the
different
best.
ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was like the best event I've ever had. I feel
Promo
like.
packs flowing from everywhere.
Kid
Yeah.
Coup sleeves.
Yeah, the kid.
Oh,
Coup
yes,
the deck
yes.
boxes. The Kid Coup deck box.
yeah, they
Yeah.
just bring that energy back for these events.
Yeah.
Yes.
Make
And
it
it,
work.
I don't even think was celebrations even part of the like the regionals and that situation, or was that just
No,
like
it
a
was
different thing?
with its own thing. Yeah, we
The
got.
last
yeah.
time I had that was like Card Fest. I was like, it's like it's its own thing, just like a fun event. Get a lot of prizing.
Shame it happened during COVID. Yeah.
Yeah, they don't really do that stuff.
And you know what too? I feel like these bigger stores like take PPG for example. They were doing that. They were doing their own thing with the shit. What was it called that you and Brandon got?
Pro Play
invited to?
Tour.
The tour, yes, the Pro Play Tour. I feel like stores could do that thing by themselves and figure it out like that way, and like they just like kind of never did anything with the Pro Play Tour. Maybe they weren't allowed or something like that. I mean, I have no idea, but
Well, they were
they could
holding that. They're literally the biggest freaking organizer here.
Oh no,
on the
I
East
get that
Coast,
because
so.
I get that because Nats was in the way, which I mean, you like wait and a few months after that, then you do your big finish with the game, because I think that's all there was, right? Was just the last game of the year, right? And but it never happened. And then you got other places like Core TCG on the coast, and I'm sure there's some Midwestern big store that we don't know about. So I mean, PPG can hold places. I mean, it could hold people. I mean, we've been to their store a few times, so they could definitely hold like 100 people or something, maybe even a little bit more.
Run there.
Yeah.
No, I just think there used to be a lot of TOs before, and now it's so there's like 3, right? It's Core TCG, PPG, and there's like another one that people play. And
Yeah,
like
there used to be
Topside.
ARG back in the day.
Yeah.
I think that's what it was called.
They
But
were
then
Yeah.
they like everybody complained about them so bad that they just like stopped. I think, right? Like
Yeah.
the first couple events sucked so bad. I think that everybody
Let's
complained about it.
Let's get the rest of this news moving.
Yeah, so we mentioned it earlier also that they mostly intending for this physical Fusion Masters game to grow in Japan, since they don't really have anything there yet. So they really want to push this for Japan. The digital version they obviously want to push worldwide at the same time. So hopefully make that like a thing. They also explained a new mechanic for this game. So if you're going second, you actually get an energy marker. So I'll let Angel explain this. He probably can explain it better than me.
If you've ever played Hearthstone and you're familiar with the coin, it's the coin from Hearthstone. If you've ever played Force of Will, some of the sets after the first few where they let you have a will that floats that's the same color as your leader, if you go second, it's that. So basically it's an extra energy that you get to spend whenever you want on defense, on offense, but it's not ramped into your energy. It's like a floating mana for Magic. So if you need to extend a play on your own turn, or you want to not fall behind, put down like an extra blocker, or have a free, quote-unquote, free negate on an early turn against aggro, I guess not a negate in this new game. It'll be another extra card that's activate battle. So it's just an extra energy for the second turn player to not be just behind on energy the whole game. It doesn't move you ahead, but it'll give you one turn where you're on even energy footing with your opponent. So it's cool.
Yeah, so that definitely helps with the problem of going second in this type of game, where apparently it's very aggressive. So obviously going second probably feels a lot worse when you have little energy to protect yourself. So that's pretty much everything that Fashbinder had said about the Q&A. There's probably more. I think he said he's going to have some more Q&As over Gen Con. So we'll probably have some more.
That going second change should also occur in the real game.
It should, yes.
For what it's worth.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, it's a nice.
Imagine how epic this news would have been if they just did that small thing. I mean, that would have been crazy. Change the whole game, probably.
Yeah.
Make you want to go second sometimes, draw that extra card.
Oh, it would affect deck building as well. I mean, if that's happening, you're definitely going to get the extra card. And, yeah.
It currently feels so bad. So to go second.
Oh yeah, like if you're both slow decks, you're just behind. If you're both fast decks, you've lost.
This could be their way of testing out also that mechanic and see if it works out well, not too overpowered to go second. And if it works out well there, then maybe they might implement it to our game. You never know.
True.
Yeah, going second really sucks right now.
So that's pretty much all the information we've gotten for the digital card game and this new game, Fusion Worlds. So any closing thoughts we want to finish up on before we head out?
No, just looking forward to it. Looking forward to it.
Do us
Hopefully,
right, Bandai.
Fashbender continues to give us good news, even though he's working for the man himself. So hopefully, it's he just tells it how it is. Hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully they finish out the rest of the season and then we get back on track with IRL events.
Yeah, that too. Apparently, we're good into 2024, so at least the game's not going anywhere soon.
Yeah, he did confirm that too. That the Masters version, at least, is definitely continuing into 2024. So we have that too to look forward to.
All right, guys.
Hope the games, both games thrive. I mean, if it brings 2 players, brings 2 players. I mean, hope they don't. I know a lot of people are really afraid that this is gonna destroy, like, fizzle out our Masters game. But I mean, as long as we keep playing it and showing support, I mean, I'm sure they'll keep supplying us with cards. Unless this Fusion World
Supply and
is
demand,
significantly
baby.
better. What was that?
Supply and demand. As long as we're buying, they're supplying. So don't give up.
And if the new game is better, that's also not that bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
And if we don't like it, we can.
Feels
still-
bad now. Maybe it won't be as bad when we experience it.
Yeah, it could be either way. But I mean, if we don't like the new game either, we always have our Masters game.
Keep
to
hopping
play.
around games until we find one we can be good at.
It's a bold new future. Yeah, that's true.
I want to
Yeah.
win.
All right, that's a good note.
Make
no,
a game
man.
I can win at already.
Good note to close this out on. Good night.
Man, we've been playing DBS for so long now. Play any game.
Well, that's a good note to end the podcast on. So thank you all for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.